Jennifer Mahoney. I hail from Boston, born and raised, and I come from Smartbear Software, Assembly Row, right north of the city. Today I'm going to talk about my philosophy, my CS philosophy in general, my journey with CS. I'll make that brief. Who's Smartbear? What does customer success mean at Smartbear? Because everyone has their different twists on customer success out there. Defining and driving customer and NPS segmentation, which is critical in managing customer success. KPI generation and ongoing measurements of those, which is, again, critical for customer success. And 2019 and beyond, because we always have to keep in mind what we're doing in the next coming 2 years, 3 years down the line. So my philosophy is easy. You will set milestones for your customers along the way. You will set up what we call in CS customer journeys. If your customers struggle at any time through the milestones you've designed, that's when churn starts. That's when risk becomes a factor, and that's when you start losing customers. So there are certain inflection points in customer success that we focus on. Onboarding sessions, ongoing customer support inflection points that we use through our customer's journey with our products that are very important. You need to measure them. You need to make sure that they work. And if your customers falter, then you need to be able to pivot and change those certain inflection points. It's very important. It's the only way to be effective in churn reduction. So customer success designs the journey. It's the entire company that's responsible for customer satisfaction. It is not customer success's job to make sure that customers stay. There are multiple departments in every company. It has to be a goal for everyone. And this took me years in my career to learn this. I always like to keep everything close, kind of like salespeople like to keep everything close. But it really is a company-wide effort. And you need to keep that in mind as you're dealing with customer experience. So I love this quote, that it's not just a department, it's an entire company effort. So this is me. I live in Woburn, Massachusetts, which is north of the city. I'm about 12 miles north of Boston. I've been in customer success since 2004. I've been in leadership for over 10 years for various companies. Prior to Smartbear, I led CS teams, CS global remote teams for Harris, which is part of Constellation Software. Constellation Software is the largest software company in Canada that you've never heard of. They do everything from wine distribution to education to security and to healthcare, which was my vertical, which is where I ended up finding CustomerGauge. CustomerGauge, I was attracted by the gauge to get everybody on the same page and looking at your score on a regular basis. People used to come into the kitchen and be like, is my name up on the board? Did I do something to affect this score? So it was really an amazing thing. And so that's where I first started getting involved in, not NPS, it wasn't my first rodeo there, but it was definitely my first try at NPS through CustomerGauge. I'm a busy mom of 2 boys. I love to cook and travel. I like to cook, they like to eat. It all works out. I began my career as a language arts teacher and learned pretty quickly that that's not my path in life. All right, so who's Smartbear? So Smartbear, large, complex business, primarily focused on the test management space. We've got over 12,000 customers, 6.5 million users. We're in almost 200 countries, 22,000 companies. We're headquartered in Boston. Actually, that's 7 offices globally. Has actually grown. We're larger than that. But we are a global organization. Founded in 2009. I don't know, has anybody heard of Smartbear before today? Okay, well, CustomerGauge, that's cheating. But so Smartbear actually was founded by this technology called SoapUI, which is an API testing tool. We all know what APIs are probably. So we have a lot of large customers, and I'll show you that in a minute. But it's primarily the premier testing tool for APIs. So we've been out there in the market for a long time. One of our tools is very integrated in the quality and dev market. So 14 comprehensive technologies. It's actually grown. We just had an acquisition that's not finalized yet, but it's almost finalized, so that's growing as well. So the only reason why I show you this slide is because this is what we're all about. It's complicated, it's challenging, it's all sorts of different customer touches and different customer demographics. Some of them deal with developers, some of them deal with quality professionals, some of them are operations folks that manage these applications. So different motions for customer success, so it makes it really challenging. So one of the things I wanted to focus on today is to say, yes, this might look complicated to everyone in the room, and it's complicated when I look at it, but there are ways to segment your customers and segment the way that you manage your portfolio so that you can better understand and get a handle on retention and how we can actually affect that. We have a loyal and diverse customer base, so we have all major airlines, most of the insurance companies globally, major hotel chains, retailers. We're big in the financial industry, so we essentially would be challenged to find any customer we don't have. And this could be customers having one of our software platforms out of the 16 that we offer. So big cross-sell opportunities there as well. So customer success at Smartbear. So essentially my purview is over adoption, and that starts with the delivery of licenses by our CS team. We do milestone onboardings by products, a portfolio review with every onboard that we do, which means that we cover what I just showed you for every customer so that they understand what we do as a company. And essentially just do who's who in the zoo for everything that we do so that our customers are aware of who to call when they need something. We also have a robust education program, so we do Smartbear Academies and elective classes. We also do big global onboardings for some of our Asia Pac customers so that we can get out there to more of the market. And then, of course, we do ongoing management with customers, and you'll see our segmentation breakdown so you understand what the touch models look like. And we have programs. Customer Advisory Board sits under me. We manage that for our product teams. That actually ties into NPS, and I'll tell you how that works in a minute. Net Promoter Program also falls under me. Actually, when I joined Smartbear, I don't even think anyone knew what NPS was, to be honest with you. The board knew what it was. The board cared. But I don't think anybody in Smartbear management necessarily knew what Net Promoter was, which is interesting. I run a conference every year. Second annual is going to be held in Boston this year. And we also are developing our own reference program for some of our executive customers. So this is how I break down our customer portfolio today. So we have an enterprise group of customers. Those are your Marriotts, those are your Apples, those are your Googles, those are your big customers that you want to have an understanding of their entire landscape so that when it comes to a cross-sell opportunity, you have more contacts and more knowledge, and it's easier to sell into them, and you understand what their needs are. So that's probably our top 250 customers. It's dealt with a customer success team with an enterprise title in front of it. They do go on site to customers. It's more of a high-touch model. Then we have a core customer success group. This core team is what Lou had referred to as the farm team. We bring them in, very inexperienced. It could be their first or second job. We train them on how to be a customer success manager, and they know that their path is to go from core to enterprise. That's their growth path. Or they could go to a different area in the company. But that's essentially how we train them. And then we have our transactional customer success area. And to be honest with you, this has not been a focus of mine. It's actually a 2019 initiative. We lose about $1.6 million every quarter, just in project-based business. Just to give you an idea of how quickly we can churn project-based business. Onesie-twosie licenses, they'll come in, project's done, they fall off. Digging into that complex business is going to be really challenging for us. It's just something I haven't gotten to yet. Okay, so let's talk about NPS and Smartbear. So as I said, I used Smartbear in a previous life. It was an enterprise model, so it was a little bit differently. We are, as Lou had mentioned earlier about Black Duck, we are a high-velocity sales model. So we are inside sales, and we don't have a lot of, we don't have as much as I'm used to interaction with our customers. We are a high-volume shop. So we started off in this journey, and we said, okay, we're going to do NPS. Call Andrew. Andrew, what do we do? Please help me out. And he said, please let me talk to someone else, not you, right? So anyway, we started implementing it and realized that we were getting all sorts of feedback in, but it wasn't the right feedback for all the different groups. Product was getting a report, and they were pulling their hair out because they were like, I can't go through all of this data. It's just not working for me. And then we weren't teasing out the experience level of NPS. So we took a step back and we said, okay, we're going to send out experience surveys based on those inflection points that we enter into with a customer. So say we do an onboard. We want to know what that looks like from a customer experience standpoint. Say we do a check-in or a QBR or a renewal. What does that look like? How does our customer measure us with regards to that experience? So we get all of that feedback now, and it's amazing. And I'll show you why and how that comes in just a minute, but it's really broken down our NPS surveys to a way that the people who care about those surveys can tease out the details and understand what that means. So the product surveys, this was amazing. So I said the product teams were overwhelmed. I'll show you in a minute the way that we've parsed it out. Now product only gets product-specific surveys to the products that they care about. They're not going to get anything else. So it made life simpler for them, and it made them be able to act on some of the feedback that our customers gave them. We have very complex Salesforce integration. This has grown over time. We have a great Salesforce group that helps us integrate all of our CustomerGauge data in and out of Salesforce, because Salesforce is, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on the day, our source of record and our CRM, so we need to depend on that platform as well. So this is amazing. So I think Adam came in trying to make me buy something one time, and he had mentioned to me about Slack channels, and I said, well, we use Slack so heavily. And so anyway, thank you, Adam, because then got in touch with Andrew. Andrew hooked us up, and we've been using this ever since, and it's hard to see, but if you see this NPS API, the API product team, that's their channel. So any API customer that puts in a product-related survey based on whatever happened, product release goes out, we want to go out to our customers and gauge their feedback on that new product that just came out the door. Bam, they have their feedback right there. It makes it easy. They can tease it out. They talk on their team meetings about it. It's become a conversation piece. And they actually act on it, which is amazing. So we have that for all of our different product groups. And then, of course, we have experience channels for CS and management. So this makes the entire company engaged in NPS. Everybody knows about it because of this Slack integration. It's pretty cool. So one of the things after I first presented this to our board, one of their requests from me was, we need to start looking at this on a product level. It's too complicated to not break it down and segment it differently. So this was one of the first things we did back after that meeting about a year ago. We started saying, okay, we're going to take all of our different product lines, and we're going to go out with an initial NPS survey, and we're going to get a number. And then each product group, we're going to set goals for you, and you're going to get bonused based on that score. So it's up to you what you want to do with feedback that's coming from customers, but all the product owners and all the heads of product are going to hold you accountable, so you need to figure it out. And it's actually worked pretty well. I actually didn't give a slide on what the numbers were, but I can tell you that Swagger 57 score was not a 57 score a year ago. It was pretty sad, but we've brought it up quite a bit. One of the other things that we did, which I've been trying to get going for a long time and finally got it done, again, thanks to Andrew for helping us. But this is what was shown before. This is your analysis, your SWOT analysis. My team struggles sometimes with what their focus is, and I tell them this. This is your focus. Look at those quadrants. We have a threat category. CS, you're all over that threat, right? Threat is our biggest opportunity. I've heard a couple people say, you know, problems, problems, problems. Problems equal opportunity for me. I can't tell, I'll actually tell you a quick story. Customer gave us a negative NPS survey, came in. It was pretty bad. And I was like, what is going on with this customer? I pick up the phone, I call this guy. We start getting to know each other, talking. Tells me his story. We start working with him. Biggest CBT deal in company history. Biggest API deal in company history. All happened in the past 12 months. They're not a threat anymore, they're a strength. Anything we want to do with that customer, that's references. That's the holy grail of customers selling to other customers. You know, it's all the things you want to see. So we focus on these. So CS focuses on the threat. Strength, we like marketing to take a focus on that because we, you know, simple things. We bought Smartbear socks. We sent them all a pair of Smartbear socks, and we said, you're a 10, thank you, you know? When they come to our conference, we're going to put little labels on their thing that say I'm a 10 to get conversations going. So little things like that make a difference with customers. The weakness customers, we can probably turn them around. I don't know. You know, we'll look at that. We say all company focuses on the weakness customers. And then our opportunities. You know, sales came to me and said, we just want you to give us a list of customers that I can call, that I know, love us, and that I can sell to. Your buddy Alex Bonamo came from him. And I said, I can do that. I have a software platform that I can show you that can give you a list of just that. And so what we do, and we just started doing this, is on a monthly basis. We are having a call with the stakeholders of the different offices for sales, and we're going to release this list to them. They can reach out to the CSM, get any background they need, but that's their focus. So talking a little bit about the Smartbear complexity, this makes it a little bit easier to manage for us. And we sit probably twice a month and have lunch together, and any of the great customers that we haven't gotten feedback for, we make sure the contacts are right in Salesforce, we put a plan together, and our goal is to have at least 80% of our customers covered so that we know exactly what's going on with them. So in addition, we do have KPIs that customer success is responsible for. They're responsible for sales referrals. They get paid a bonus on those. When I started last February, we did not have a team. Team was built and deployed by June. They were trained up and probably started doing onboards in segments by end of June. And between June and the end of the year, they brought in $2.2 million of referrals. They did it just by talking about the Smartbear portfolio, asking the right questions. It was a success. And to date, we're at almost $6 million of sales referrals at a 47% close rate. Our average close rate is 30%, so that's pretty significant. So that gets management's attention pretty easily. So NPS, the CSMs are responsible for closing the loop. Again, product is bonus based on score. And company NPS is now a bonused metric for the company. So we are bonused on our NPS number. We report that number every quarter to our board. It is our customer health indicator. And everyone's bonus is based on NPS. So I can't tell you how long that took to get that done, but it's done, and it's a great motivator for everyone. And then, of course, customer saves, and customer saves are all related to the negative responses that we get in through our NPS surveys, and we save, on average, 60% of those customers, which is pretty impressive. So I don't know if Lou is still here, but he'd probably beat me up on this retention rate analysis. We show retention rates in a variety of different ways for our board. This is our gross retention rate. With all of the different software that we have, we do that on an individual basis. But we have gone up significantly, and this is from Q1 2017 to current. So we're at almost 85%. We were at 81. So clearly it's working. And I said it's a marathon, not a sprint. You know, we want to be in the low 90s for a retention rate, and we will get there. It takes time to build up your NPS platform. It takes time to get the company adjusted to NPS as a culture. But we're well on our way, so I hope I have even better news to show next year. So just in closing, so one of the things that I really want to do is I want to take all of that great SWOT analysis data that I'm having the focus be on, and I want to marry it with our product activation and usage data. If I can get that into CustomerGauge in some sort of scored way, which we've already started working with the product teams to do, there's your health score. And I think it's as simple as that. I mean, customer feedback is one of the ways that we know we can understand what their health is, and then having how they're using the product just makes it even better. We're engaging and expanding its use across the company. We still have some work to do. We know we do, but we have the ear of the person who's who's the biggest stakeholder at Smartbear. So I think we'll get there. We'd like to engage pre-sales in some of the support areas because I think there's a lot of value in having a demo being done and being able to get feedback based on their demo, or a support case being closed and getting feedback there as well. It'll just make our understanding of our customers even more robust. And then just having a better understanding of the risk pool and just getting better feedback from our customers is one of the goals as well. So in full transparency, I think I come from a very sales-first organization. It's sales and then it's everybody else. And I don't know if anybody else has experience in that. But I just needed, they say, there's a saying, and I'm not going to get it right, but essentially they talk about ARR, but really what they mean is it's sales and then everybody else, and I just didn't settle for that. I just feel like we are actually, when I first started at Smartbear, we were growing at 20% year over year, which is great. But that has dipped a little bit, and we've had some changes in our organization that we know that we need to address, and we're doing that. But I think I was lucky in the sense that because we had that little dip in growth, it gave me an opportunity to have more of a voice in saying, we're not growing as fast, but we can retain more. And so if we can make up those retention numbers and we can grow, we can keep our existing customers and we can expand on those existing customers, that's where our revenue is going to come from. So I think a little bit of it was luck, probably a little bit because people are scared of me, maybe a little bit. But I also have a great team. I was really lucky. Dana and Drew, who are on my team, are just amazing. And so I'm really lucky that they have more of a project management mindset, and so everything I give them, they tackle and get it done, and we communicate and educate constantly. There's not a time when I am not reiterating to sales or reiterating to support or reiterating to the executive team that this is important. And unfortunately, sometimes it gets tiring, but they have to remember that this revenue is your most important asset, because when sales dip, that's what you have to rely on. So it's been a journey, but it's been working so far. Yeah, so, well, that actually came from our board, to be honest. So it was maybe the second or third board meeting, we were acquired by Francisco Partners, and I did a presentation on customer success and talked about NPS. And they were very familiar with NPS because they have a big portfolio of software SaaS companies. And when they asked me to break it out, you know, per product line, we started having conversations because I said, I don't have the purview to keep product accountable. And so then we started having the conversations of, okay, well, you know, the product owner said, well, I can make it part of their bonus. That will make them accountable. And then it bled into Justin saying, well, we can make everybody in the company accountable, and we can make everybody's bonus tied to an NPS number. And by the way, if we're going to commit to this to the board, then everybody needs to be aware of it. So that's just kind of how it happened. And again, I can't remember who said it. Maybe it was TJ, about that executive backing. You need it. I mean, it's one of those things that, you know, to be a customer-centric organization, you need people backing you along the way. And so I was lucky enough to have that.